again, it's Pollyanna from Lightspeed Sports Recovery. Just doing a second class for the beginner section. So again, if you haven't joined us before, I've already done one class which goes over some of the basics of how to engage your core and things like that. So we're going to go straight into some Pilates exercises. It'll be about 45 minutes like the other classes have been, and you can just follow along. So for this one, we're going to start actually on 4-point kneeling. So from here, you're going to go into a kneeling position. You're going to make sure that your knees are hip width apart, that you've got a hand underneath each shoulder. You want to keep a little bit of softness in the elbows. We don't want you locking them out, especially if you're hypermobile, which means we've got excessive joint movement, because sometimes you can take your joints into unwanted positions. From here, you're going to draw the shoulder blades down together. You're going to draw up through your abdominals. And you might want to just gently tuck the tailbone in so that you get this flatness through your back. What we don't want to see is arching through the back and the dropping of the torso. So you want to lift that through that torso, tuck that tailbone underneath. You're going to keep the head and neck in a nice neutral position. And from here, we're going to go through an exercise called swimming. In the last one, we did it lying down, so we progressed it onto 4-point kneeling. So you're going to breathe in to prepare, exhale. You're going to take the opposite arm to leg out, and then you're going to inhale to bring it back in. So it's exhale to take the opposite leg to arm out, and then inhale to bring it back in. So just keep going through this movement, making sure that we keep that lower back in a nice neutral position, that we're not letting the pelvis rock side to side. So you should be able to balance a tray of drinks on your back and that they don't fall anywhere. So if you're really bored at the moment, you could give this a go. You could perhaps get the family involved and just get your favourite drink, placing it on your back on a tray, and then just trying to keep it there and then bring it back. So it's exhale as we take the opposite leg to arm out, and then inhale to bring it back in. And you see how I'm keeping that lower back nice and level, and I'm not dipping down or up with that pelvis. Just want to bring it back in and down. So it's opposite leg to arm, and then inhale to bring it back down. So exhale to take out, and inhale to bring back down. Make sure when you're putting your knees back down that you're actually putting them down at hip width apart. If you find that you are overbalancing or having to shift your weight, it might be because your knees aren't wide enough. And this will really, really help with your balance. Keep it going. So exhale to stretch the arm and leg out, and inhale to bring it back down. And also, don't take the leg too high. You want it about level with your body, if not a little bit lower. Otherwise, again, you'll have problems with balancing and keeping that pelvis nice and level. Okay, a couple more. Really stretching through the arms and through the toes. So you're pointing those toes, reaching with that hand. One more. Okay, and relaxing back down. From here, even though this is a beginner's class, I'm going to introduce a little bit of a strength exercise which will allow you to progress towards some of the more advanced moves that are in some of my other videos. So from here, you're going to take the hands in front of the shoulders. You're going to tuck your toes under. You're going to breathe in to prepare, exhale, and you're going to float the knees off the floor, and then inhale to lower them back down. So it's exhale to float the knees off the floor, and then inhale to bring them back down. So just keep moving through this. We want to keep a 90-degree bend at the knee and 90-degree bend at the hips. And just make sure we have our hands slightly in front of the shoulders, because when you go on to the full move in the future, you want to be able to move forward and not face plant on the floor. So this is going to feel it in the quads. Your core obviously is activating to help stabilize, keeping everything nice and balanced. Okay, let's do a couple more. And one more. And just holding that for as long as possible. So let's go for a little bit of a push out on this one. And then relaxing back down. From there, just pushing back onto your heels. Stretching off through those shoulders. So really stretching forward. Breathing in and just relaxing down. So that exercise also helps work through the shoulders. So you start building a little bit of strength. And just relaxing down into this one to stretch off through those shoulders. Okay, from there you're going to go into a lying position on your front. So just lowering yourself down. We're going to go into some breaststroke. We covered this in the last class as well. So again, this is some prep work for the final move of breaststroke. So from there, you're going to rest the head on the hands. You're going to breathe in to prepare. Exhale, and you're just going to float the head and arms off the floor. And then inhale to come back down. So it's exhale to float the head and hands off the floor. And inhale and bring it back down. You want to float up through those elbows. You want to keep looking at the floor. And then you're going to inhale to bring it back down. You should be rotating through that upper part of your back. Your lower back shouldn't really be playing a huge part in this. You should find that your glutes stay nice and relaxed. So if you watch how I do it, you're lifting. If you have a look, my lower legs haven't moved and I haven't moved from down here. Quite often people will lift the legs up when they lift, so they end up doing that sort of thing. That's not what this exercise is about. We're lifting through that upper body and then inhaling to come back down. So it's exhale to lift and then inhale to bring back down. So this should help mobilize through that upper back. Again, working through sort of shoulder complex as well. So our shoulders are connected very much to our upper spine. And if we're blocked through there, then actually we'll get reduced mobility sometimes through our shoulders as well. Okay, couple more. Okay, and relaxing back down. Okay, you're going to keep your head and hands in the same position. I'm going to go into a one leg kick. So this is probably one of the more complex exercises that you'll get where it's about coordination and timing with the legs. So I'm just going to go over it nice and slowly and simple, and I'll try and keep with the counting so that you guys get a nice rhythm going. So from here you're going to rest your head on your hands like we did for the last exercise. From here you're going to bend at the knee, so you point the toes up. You're then going to straighten that leg back down. You're then going to come back up with the heel up. Straighten that leg back down and then come back up with the toes pointing up. This time, as you straighten that leg, you're going to lift that thigh off the floor and then lower it back down once the leg is straight. You then go on to the other leg, so you're going to point the toes up, bring it back down, come back up with the heel up, bring it back down, come back up with the toes up. From there you're going to squeeze that thigh off the floor as you straighten that leg and then lower that leg back down. So it's 1, 2, 3, straighten that leg, lifting that thigh off the floor and then lowering it back down. So it's 1, 2, 3, straighten that leg, lifting that thigh off the floor and lowering it back down. So keep going that count of 3. Don't worry too much if you forget which way your toes are meant to be pointing. make sure when you lift that thigh up, that you're actually keeping that pelvis nice and level on the mat. So like with swimming, we want to make sure that we stay nice and flat through that back and that it's not rocking from one side to the other. So again, going through that movement, lifting that thigh up and then relaxing back down. So it's 1, 2, 3, straighten, lift and lower. 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 Make sure as you do this as well that the upper body is staying nice and still. It's all the movement from the waist down. Remember to engage that core. So you're going to draw in and up through the transabs and pelvic floor. Keep going with that to count of 3. So it's 1, 2, 3. Straighten, lift and lower. 1, 2, 3. Straighten, lift and lower. Try a couple more. And try not to do it too fast. You want to keep that control. Okay, one more. So 1, 2, 3. Lift and lower. Okay, and relaxing down from there. Okay, from there we're going to go into a cobra. So we're going to do a little bit of stretching. So from there you're going to make a diamond shape with your arms. If you find this too much on your lower back, then just do a swan dive, which I'll show as well. So you're going to rest the forehead on the floor. You're going to breathe in, exhale, float that head off the floor, looking up towards the ceiling. You're going to peel off through the chest, all the way down to the waist. Draw the shoulder blades down and together. Inhale, exhale, and then rolling back down. So starting with the stomach, then the ribs, chest, and finally the head. Breathe in, exhale, and then working your way back up again. Drawing the shoulder blades down and together, and then inhale, exhale, and working the way back down again. If you find that too much, then all you need to do is just coming up to here, into a swan dive, draw the shoulder blades down and together, and then inhale to roll back down again. So it's exhale to float that head up, draw the head and shoulders down, not the head and shoulders, sorry, just the shoulder blades down, and then inhale and come back down. So if you don't find the full cobra a problem, which is this one, then just come up onto the elbows to that point. Again, we're trying to mobilize through that spine. We're stretching off through the abdominals as well, but you need to keep the lower legs nice and relaxed. So as you come up, the lower legs should stay nice and still, and then inhale to come back down. And it's the same in the cobra as well. Try and keep the hips on the floor, and then rolling back down again. And just keep going with that, couple more. Just remember to draw the shoulder blades down and together. Okay, one more. Okay, and relaxing there. Okay, from there, you're going to roll onto your side. You're going to bring that arm up above your head. You're going to rest that head on that arm. We're going to go into a one leg kick to start with. So you're going to straighten those legs. You're going to bring the feet slightly in front of you so you can see a little bit better. You should be able to see your feet, and you're going to pull the toes up, and this will really help with your balance. You're going to lengthen through that top hip so you lift through that waist. Make sure that you've got your hips stacked on top of each other as well. You can have the hand in front of you just to help with balance, as this one does require a little bit more balance than, say, the clam. Or if you want to make it harder, placing the hand on the hip. You're going to breathe in to prepare, exhale, and you're going to float that leg to hip height. Breathe in, exhale, and you're going to kick that leg forward, and then inhale to bring it back. So it's exhale to kick that leg forward, and then inhale to bring it back. Making sure we keep that upper body nice and still. Don't want to be tensing through that arm that we're resting on either. Just keep it nice and gliding, so it's like you're sweeping your leg across a table. So you're going to point the toes as you come forward, and then inhale and bring the toes up and back. Don't worry if you can't get quite as much range. We want to work within your strength. So even if you only can do little kicks like this, then that's absolutely fine, because you'll build up, you'll get stronger, and you'll be able to take it further. Want to make sure that as you come forward that this shoulder isn't rolling back. Quite often what happens when we bring it forward, we haven't quite got the strength, we let that roll back to compensate. So that upper body should stay nice and still. Keep going with that, making sure we're still lifting through that waist. We're engaging that core. You're exhaling as you go forward. Inhale as you bring it back. Couple more. Okay, from there we're going to go into some side raises. So again, it's not about flexibility, it's moving up and down. You should start to feel it through this area. And that's the area we want to be working. Keep going. 10 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. From there, hovering at hip height into some small circles. So again, trying to keep that upper body relatively still. So really, really small movement. Should start feeling it in that leg. If not, you're very, very fit. Okay, reverse the direction. And relaxing it back down, giving that thigh a little bit of a rub. Okay, from there we're going to go into some clams from here. So you're going to bend the hip and knee. So you want about 45 degrees at the hip, 90 degrees at the knee. Still resting your head on your arm. You're still lengthening through that top hip, so you see this gap that I get between me and the mat. You're going to make sure the shoulders are stacked on top of each other, hips are stacked on top. You're going to make sure as well that your feet are in line with your hips. You're then going to float the lower legs off the floor. You can either have your hand in front of you for support or on your hip. You're going to breathe in, exhale, float that knee up, and then inhale to bring it back down. So it's exhale to float up, and then inhale to bring back down. Just squeezing that knee up nice and gently. Should be working through this area. Again, if you've got your hand on your hip, tells you nicely whether you're actually moving through that hip. We want that hip to stay nice and still. The movement should be coming from the socket and not through rolling back through the whole pelvis. Keep that gap between you and the mat. Don't let the shoulders roll back either. Keep it going. Squeezing that knee up, and then inhale to come back down. Okay, from there we're going to introduce something called knee tap. So you're going to tap that knee down, the foot comes up, and then tap the feet back together. So it's tapping the knee down and bring the feet back together. So this is just moving in a slightly different way, just to make sure we get everything working, especially as we're in lockdown at the moment. Okay, keep it going, a couple more. Okay, and relaxing that leg back down and giving that thigh a little bit of a rub. Okay, from there we're going to roll onto our backs. So from here, bringing those feet together will get you all into the right position. You're going to take the toes out so you make that nice V shape with your toes, and then bring the heels out so they're directly underneath your hips. Coming onto the hips, so you're just going to gently push the tailbone into the mat, and then you're going to tuck the tailbone under. So you see how the hips roll through. So tucking them under, and then gently pushing that tailbone into the mat. And just moving through these two extremes just helps loosen off the lower back. Also makes you a little bit more aware of your pelvic movement. And then you're going to find that nice neutral position that's comfortable for you. You're then going to come onto the ribs, and you're just going to let the weight of your ribs sink into that matting. You're going to lengthen through the collarbones by drawing the shoulder blades down together. Lengthen through the spine as though you've got a piece of rope pulling you to the wall behind you. And then just gently tuck the chin in. If you need to, you can put a pillow underneath your head if you need it to just get your head in a better alignment. Okay, from here we're going to start off with a move called scissors. So you're going to breathe in to prepare, exhale, you're going to float one leg up to tabletop. You're going to breathe in, exhale, and you're going to bring the other leg up to tabletop. It's really important to have your ribs pinned down to the mat as this stabilizes through that lower back. If you find double tabletop too difficult, then just keep one leg on the floor and you just bring the other one back down. So, going over scissors. So the one we're going to do is in double tabletop, so always bring one leg up and then the other leg whenever we go into double tabletop. You're going to breathe in, exhale, and you're going to tap one foot down and put the whole foot down. Inhale and bring it back up. So it's exhale to tap the other one down, and then inhale to bring it back up. Keep going with that if you're happy with that. If not, and that's a bit too much, keep one leg on the floor, place the other one down, bring that one up, bring it back down, and bring it back up. So that would be the easier version. If you want an in-between, you can come up to one in tabletop, bring the other one up, and then place the other one down, and then the other one down. This is quite a nice in-between because it's getting you used to some double tabletop, but not overdoing it. So just take each one as you want it. So if you want to do the harder one from double tabletop, then go ahead. If not, do the in-between one or even the easier one. They're all really good at getting you to engage. So it's not a question of, oh, I should be doing the harder one. It's what you need at this time to get yourself stronger. Okay, making sure we keep that 90-degree bend at the hip and at the knee. Keeping that control through the lower back. Make sure when you're in double tabletop that you're not doming through those upper abdominals. So we want to think about engaging from the belly button below and not too much through the upper abdominals. You will get some engagement through the abdominals. This is natural, but we don't want to be predominantly through the upper part. Making sure again that you're keeping that back nice and engaged so you've got those ribs pinned down to the ground. That's it. Couple more. Okay, and relaxing one leg down and then the other leg down. Okay, from here we're going to do an arm exercise. So you're going to bring those arms up, pointing them towards the ceiling. You're going to breathe in to prepare, exhale, and you're going to take them up above your head. And then you're going to bring the arms round in a D shape. And then inhale to bring them back up towards the ceiling. So it's exhale to take those arms up. Bring them round in a D shape. And then inhale to bring them back up towards the ceiling. So as you do this exercise, make sure you're pinning those ribs down. We don't want you arching through that lower back to get that extra range. So if you find you can't get them all the way down, just hovering above the ground, don't worry about that. Again, this is about control, about having that strength through that movement. Helps with your shoulder mobility, this exercise, and your strength. So as you develop, you'll find that your range will get better. And as your flexibility in your upper back gets better, that will also help as well. So keep going with that. So it's exhale as you take the arms up above the head, making sure we keep those ribs pinned down. Bringing the arms round in that D shape, and inhale to bring them back up. So it's exhale to take them up overhead. Bring it round as you inhale and up back towards the ceiling. So it's a nice fluid movement. Just make sure you've got enough space so that you're not banging everything as you bring your arms round. Okay, from there we're going to add a one leg stretch. So you're going to bring that leg into tabletop. Take those arms up overhead. Stretch that leg out as you bring the arms round. And then inhale to bring it all back in and then down. So just take this nice and steady. So exhale to bring that leg into tabletop. Then take your arms up over your head. Inhale to bring them round and stretch that leg forward. So you're kind of pushing everything down, away, down the room. And then inhale to draw it all back in and then relax back down. Exhale to float up. Bring those arms up. Push them all out, including that leg. And then inhale to bring it back and down. So exhale to float the leg up, arms up over the head, stretching down as you inhale, and then bring those arms and legs back in and down. So it is a little bit more coordination, so I'm testing your coordination a little bit today. So bring that up and then back in and down. So it's exhale to bring that leg to tabletop, taking that arms up over the head, stretching that leg out and down, bringing the arms back, and then inhale to bring it back to tabletop and back down. So let's do another 5 of those. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 more, making that 5. Okay, from there, relaxing that leg back down, and then just relaxing the arms back down from there. Okay, from here, we're going to do a one leg stretch along the floor, but we're going to incorporate it with another move as well. So the other move is a level 2 hip twist. So for the hip twist, you allow the knee to drop out to the side, just the one knee. Keep this other one nice and still. You're then going to slide that heel down the mat to straighten that leg. And then you're going to bring that leg straight back up. So you're going to take the other leg out this time. So you exhale to take that other knee out, keeping this leg nice and steady. And then straightening that leg by dragging that heel down the mat. And then inhale to bring it straight back up. So it's exhale to take that leg out, keeping that other one nice and relaxed and straight. Dragging that heel down, straightening that leg. And then inhale to bring it back up. Use your hands for a little bit of feedback while you do this exercise. You want to make sure that that pelvis is nice and level. So your fingers and thumbs shouldn't really move at all. So as you take that knee out, try not to let the hip pop up. Drag that heel down. And try and make sure that your hip doesn't also go up off the floor in that way. So that would be more through the lower back. So again, just taking that knee out, stretching that leg out, bringing that leg back up. So it's exhale to take that knee out, stretching down with that heel, and then inhale to bring it back up. Make sure you control that movement when you take the knee out. Often people just let it drop, and you can't really control the movement if you do that. Just keep it nice and relaxed, opening up through that hip, stretching that leg down, and then inhale to bring it straight back up. So it's exhale to take that hip out, stretching that leg out, and then inhale to bring it back up and relax. So exhale to take that knee out, stretching that leg down, and then inhale to bring it back up. Really make sure that we're engaging those transabs and pelvic floor. The more you do, the better control you'll have. Okay, let's keep going. A couple more of those. Okay, last one. Okay, and bringing that back in. Okay, from there, we're going to do an exercise called a one-leg circle. So this one is a difficult one to completely master. You will find that you'll get a little bit of movement in the pelvis to begin with, but as you get better at it and stronger, you should notice a difference. So you're going to breathe in to prepare, exhale. You're going to float that leg into tabletop. You're going to allow this thigh to sink into that hip joint. Just let it go nice and heavy, and this will just help release off through some of the muscles that might be holding on, that doing some work, but that shouldn't be doing some work. You're going to pretend you've got a laser beam pointing out of the top of your knee. You're going to try and draw a circle on the ceiling with it. So you're going to exhale to take that out and round, and then inhale to bring it back in. So it's exhale to take that thigh out and round, and then inhale to bring it back in. Imagine you're drawing that circle on the ceiling. You're trying to keep it nice and round, smooth all the way through. So have a look at your circle shape. Try not to make it oval, and try not to make it square. So quite often we stop and start, and this is usually where you're finding it a little bit tricky. So you want to really engage through that transabs and pelvic floor. You should be keeping this all nice and still. So this other leg that's on the floor should not be moving. You will find to begin with that you'll get some movement. So just keeping that going, nice and smooth. Try not to come across your midline with your leg, otherwise you will find that harder to control. When you look at your knee, you shouldn't be able to see your foot at any point. If you find you're seeing your foot, it means that you're rotating through that hip instead. So try and maintain that alignment. Okay, from there, just reversing the direction. Again, keeping that pelvis nice and level. You're going to exhale as you take it out and round, and inhale to bring it back in. So it's exhale to take it out and round, and then inhale to bring it back in. Keep that going nice and smooth. So this is working what we call rotatory stability. So it's the stability of the hips from side to side in that sense. So you're stopping yourself from going, basically lifting through that opposite hip. Okay, breathing in and then out, and lowering that leg back down. Breathing in and then out, and bringing that opposite leg up. Again, letting that thigh sink into that hip joint. Remember, you've got that laser beam pointing out to the top of your knee. You're going to draw a circle with it on the ceiling. So you're going to breathe in, exhale, take that knee out and round, and then inhale to bring it back in. So it's exhale to take that leg out and round, and then inhale to bring it back in. Making sure we keep that pelvis nice and level. Again, just use those hands just to give yourself a little bit of feedback. You can even have it resting on this leg, because if this leg is moving, then that means your pelvis is moving. Keeping it nice and still. So it's exhale to take that leg out and round, and inhale to bring it back in. Making sure we keep those circles nice and smooth, keep them round. And remember, as you look at your knee, you shouldn't be able to see your foot. And just keep that going. Nice and smooth circles. Try not to get that leg across the midline. So you're exhaling as you take it out. Inhale as you bring it back in. And then from there, just reversing the direction. So you're going to exhale to take it out. Inhale to bring it back in. Keeping that pelvis nice and level. Using those hands to give yourself some feedback. Keeping that circle rather than square. Keep it flowing as well. Just keep it going. from there, breathing in and then out, and relaxing back down. Okay. From there, just want you to come up to a sitting position. So you're going to sit up. We're going to do some rollbacks. So this leads up to, again, another more advanced move that will be covered in more sessions in the intermediate classes and stuff like that. But for now, we'll just start building you up. We covered this in the last one, I believe. Unless that was the intermediate class, but yes. So from there, you're going to sit up nice and tall. You're going to have that bend between the knees, feet flat on the ground. You still want them hip width apart. You're going to float those arms up to shoulder height. You're going to breathe in, exhale, and you're going to roll back through that pelvis. You're coming off your seat bones. You're going to reach forward with the hands. Take it to where you're comfortable. You don't need to go all the way down to the ground. And then inhale to come back up and come back up to a sitting position. So breathe in, exhale, rolling back down, reaching forward. And then inhale to come back up. As you come back up, you're not straightening up straight away. So you come back with the pelvis first and then sit up tall. So it's exhale to roll back off the seat bones. And then reaching forward, and then inhale to come back up, and then sit up straight. You might want to put a cushion underneath you, just to give yourself a little bit of comfort as you're rolling off. Depends how hard your floor is. Draw the shoulder blades down and together, and then coming back up into a sitting position. So you want to make a nice C shape with your back. So this again is trying to get some more mobility through that back, but also working through those abdominals. You'll feel them working. Okay, rolling back. And then inhale to come back up and sitting up tall. So exhale to roll back. And then inhale to come back up and sit tall. Keep it going. Let's do 5 more. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and last one. Okay, and relaxing those arms back down. From there, you're going to go back to a lying position. So from here, we're going to go into some shoulder bridges. Shoulder bridges are great for so many things. They just help through your glutes, so strengthening through that, which helps support your lower back, as well as mobilizing your lower back as well. So from there, you might want to bring the feet slightly towards you this way, especially if you find that your hamstrings overactivate. So you're going to breathe in to prepare. Exhale, you're going to clench your butt muscles. You're going to tuck the tailbone under. You're going to peel each segment of your back off the mat bit by bit till you get that nice straight line from the knee, hip to shoulder. Breathe in at the top, exhale, and then working your way back down again. So starting with the top of the back, mid back, lower back, and then finally bringing it into neutral. So I'm going to bring my arms up so you can see that a little bit better. This, bringing your arms up, can actually make the exercise harder. So if you want to make it hard, then by all means do this. But this is just so you can see what my back's doing. So you're going to tuck with that pelvis, so you engage those glutes. You're going to peel that pelvis off the mat. Lower back, upper back, till you've got that nice straight line. Breathe in, exhale, and then you're going to roll down with the upper part of your back first, then the mid back, and then bring that pelvis back into neutral. So we don't want to see you coming down flat with the back. We want to see that movement. So being able to roll it through, increase that mobility in your back and that strength. Okay, so as you move through this, you want to make sure that you're pushing evenly through the heels. And this will help keep that pelvis nice and level. So there's 2 things we want to make sure we're doing with the pelvis. Is 1, keeping the pelvic bones nice and level. So we're not dipping one side to the other. This would indicate that you might be slightly weaker in one glute if that happens. And you also want to make sure you get that nice straight line, that we're not just going to there, that we're actually going all the way to the top. If, however, you find that that's too much for your lower back, then it's perfectly alright to just come up and do a little raise and then come back down. But for the full exercise, you want to come all the way up, get that nice line, and then inhale, exhale, and working your way back down again. Okay, couple more. There's a lot of variations you can do on this exercise as well. So we're going to come up on this next one. And we're going to do some heel raises. So keeping the hands on the floor, going to lift one heel, place it back down, and then lift the other. And we're going to do 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then working your way back down again. So when we do this, we're going to do some more sets of this. You're going to come up, you want to keep that pelvis nice and level. So making sure, and you can use your hands to tell you. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then rolling back down. So we don't want to see the pelvis rocking from side to side. You want to keep the weight distribution exactly the same. Okay, coming up, and we're going to do one more set. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then coming back down and just relaxing. So you're just going to draw the legs in towards your chest, just stretching off through the lower back. And then from there, we're going to roll onto the side we haven't done. So probably just change the end of your mat. You're going to bring that arm up above your head. And we started off with our legs straight. So we're going to go into one leg kick. Or sorry, a side kick even. So you're going to rest that head on your arm. You're going to lengthen through that top hip, so you're lifting through that waist. You're going to breathe in, exhale, float that leg to hip height. Breathe in, exhale, kick that leg forward, and then inhale to bring it back. So it's exhale to kick that leg forward, and then inhale to bring it back. Making sure we keep the shoulder nice and still. If you need to, you can have that arm to support. And just remember, don't worry about the flexibility. So if you can't quite get it as far, that's absolutely fine. You want to make sure we keep that upper body nice and still. Just keep going with that. So point the toes as you go forward, and then bring the heel back as you bring that leg back. So it's exhale to kick forward, inhale to bring it back. And just making sure that you're sort of sweeping that leg across the table. Imagine if you're trying to knock a load of things off it. And a nice movement, so nice and smooth. Okay, keep it going. Couple more. Okay, from there into your side raises, so taking that leg straight up and back down. Try 10 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Hovering at hip height into those small circles. So just trying to keep them nice and smooth and quite small as well. You should start feeling it through this area and reverse the direction. Okay, relaxing that back down, giving that thigh a little bit of a rub. Okay, from there, bending at the hip and knee, so we're going to go into our clams. So you want that 45-degree bend at the hip, 90 at the knees, making sure those feet are directly below the hips, lengthening through that top hip. So you get that nice gap between you and the mat. You're going to float the lower legs off the floor. You're going to breathe in, exhale, float that knee up, and then inhale to bring it back down. So it's exhale to float up, and then inhale to bring it back down. So it's just a nice gentle squeeze. Again, if you need to, you can have that hand out in front of you, or if you want to make it harder, placing it on that hip. But that hand should stay nice and still. So you see how when I'm lifting through that knee, my hand's not rolling back, which means my hip is staying nice and still. Make sure that the shoulder stays nice and still as well. So it's all through that lower body. Couple more. Okay, from there into your knee tap, so you're tapping that knee down and then bring those feet together. So tapping the knee down and then bringing the feet together. Just keep going with some of those. So this is just changing the movement slightly. I'm just working you in a slightly different way. Couple more. Okay, from there, relaxing back down, giving that thigh a little bit of a rub. Okay, a nice one to finish on. We're going to roll onto our backs and we're going to go into a nice hip twist. So you're going to bring those feet together, knees together, arms out to either side. You're going to breathe in, exhale, and take both knees over to one side while looking the opposite direction. You want the feet stacked on top of each other. Really push this top hip over, keeping the shoulders on the floor. Breathe in, exhale, bring it back to the center. Breathe in, exhale, and then over to the other side. Breathe in, exhale, bringing it back to the center. Breathe in, exhale, over to the other side. If you want to, you can hold it there for a little bit longer. Get that nice stretch through the back, so you get a sort of nice spinal stretch doing this. And just keep going with that, doing as much or as little as you want. Again, remember keeping both shoulders on the floor, looking the opposite way to where your legs are going. So you're going to breathe in, bring it back to the center, exhale to take it over to the other side. Okay, one more to each side. Okay, and relaxing there. Okay, just rolling onto your side. So, really well worked today. Hopefully that will keep you guys going for a little bit longer. If there are any questions, obviously get in touch. Either message me through Pollyanna at lightspeedsportsrecovery.co.uk, or I have a Facebook page, or you can follow me on Instagram on Lightspeed Coaching, not Lightspeed Coaching, Lightspeed Sports Recovery. So yes, brilliant. Keep safe and see you soon.